Hello and welcome to Rewildology, the nature podcast that explores the human side of conservation, travel, and rewilding the planet. I'm your host, Brooke Mitchell, conservation biologist and adventure traveler. Legal and illegal pet trades, vehicle collisions, power lines, fires, habitat loss, and human conflict. The planet's wildlife is having a hard time existing alongside us. While we sadly lose countless individuals every year from human-caused calamities, thankfully, some are given a second life. Dedicated conservationists all over the globe have studied animal rehabilitation and opened rescue centers to provide injured wildlife with immediate medical attention and then either release them back into the wild when they fully healed or provide them with a home in captivity to live out the rest of their days in comfort. Just like you and me, each rescued individual in a wildlife facility has a story and a life lesson worth sharing. Today's guest, Ramón Casares, recognized the power of these stories, and for the past 10 years, he has traveled all over the world taking stunning photographs of rescued animals and sharing their story with the high-end art community. Ramón and I have a deep discussion about his childhood and how his mother and father influenced the work he pursues today, why he got into photography, how the idea for the Ex-Situ Gallery came to him, how he picks his subjects and the logistics behind his photography, his pursuit into the art world, and why he decided to make high-end art consumers his target demographic, what he sees as the road forward for positive change, and his hopes for the future of ex-situ and conservation as a whole. A quick disclaimer, or heads up rather, Ramón and I talk a lot about politics, probably the most that's ever been openly discussed on the show. So I recommend coming in with an open mind, regardless of your political beliefs, and maybe thinking about why you might agree or disagree with Ramon's views. I personally love having unfiltered conversations, and that's exactly what today's episode is. A conversation between two conservationists. All right, everyone, I won't hold you up any longer. Please enjoy this wide-ranging discussion with Ramón. Awesome, Ramón. Oh, well, thank you so much for sitting down with me, and I will be fully transparent, everyone. This is take two, so we get double the great time with Ramón. So let's start at square one here, Ramón. Where does your love of nature and wildlife come from? Was it always in you from day one, or did it develop over time?
Well, first of all, thank you for the invite. I mean, it's an honor for me to be a part of this podcast that you're doing. So thank you. So to go back to your question, I think it's embedded on me. I have this tale that my mom tells me all the time, that I actually learned how to crawl following ants. So I think it's yeah. I mean, I think it's part of who I am. I don't have a moment in time where I remember starting being interested in nature and wildlife. I think it's always been there for me.
So where did you grow up then?
I actually grew up in the city. I grew up in the city in Buenos Aires. But my father was a polo player, so we used to go out to the countryside a lot. So I had access to wildlife, horses, dogs, and open fields where I could just, I don't know, play around nature, climb trees and stuff like that. I had a pretty nature-embedded childhood, regardless of having been raised in the middle of the city, the capital city of Argentina. So, yeah.
Oh, wow. That's actually really cool. Wow, your dad was a polo player. So how often were you out in nature, do you think? Was it like a weekly thing? Was it or was it just a season? Or how much did you get out and explore as much as you could?
Weekly. I mean, there was not one weekend when we didn't go out to wherever he was playing polo. And that means going to I think you call it farms, where you have the polo field, but it's, I don't know, maybe hundreds of acres of land. So when he was playing polo, I was going to a river, or not a river, but a stream or a lagoon or a forest or something. And I was doing my own thing while he was doing his. Although, as you can see here, that's the cover of a polo magazine. So I do a lot of horse photography too, because of him. I mean, I love horses, and that's because of him.
Oh, that makes so much sense. Okay, we will definitely get back to the horses, because that's a big thing that that's who you are and what you do. So then, I guess what came next? So I know you dabbled with like the nature career for a while, but you also entered photography. Like that's what you do and what you spend so much time doing professionally. So I guess what came first, or were you experimenting with them both at the same time? Were you like a teenager at this point, or?
I think it came really natural when I was a teenager, actually, because my mom, the photography parts come from my mother. She used to, back then it was not very common to see somebody with a big camera and a big lens, and she had that. So I was taking that camera all the time with me and photograph whatever I could, a dog, I don't know, whatever. A tree or nothing. I was spending a lot of film doing nothing. But I started my photography side comes from my mother, and I think, and as I told you, wildlife was always there, like around me. But I did study advertising. I work in several advertising agencies as a creative director. But I didn't see myself as an old man working in that business, because it's just, I don't know, it wasn't for me. So I decided to make photography which was my hobby. I made it my profession. So now I need a new hobby. But since then, I started professionally doing a lot of stuff. I mean, I had to eat and pay bills. So I did fashion photography, product photography, events, whatever I could. But at the same time, I was doing a lot of wildlife photography too on the side, and just for me. And yeah, but I think it came naturally, and it was kind of always there. So again, my life it's a mess, so to speak, in that sense, because I never really planned ahead with my profession or whatever. So yeah, it was very natural how I became a photographer.
So one of the last times we chatted, though, you told me that you spent a little time zookeeping. So why did you not continue down that path and you actually decided to go photography? Was that just a short stint, or was there something that you didn't like about it? Or I guess why did you not, now that you know you have this strong passion for nature, I guess why did that not keep you and gravitate you is more of what I was curious about.
Zookeeping, actually, it has like these two sides in me. One is because when I was a child, I wanted to be a rock star, a conservationist, and a zookeeper. Those were my dreams. I do music, I am a conservationist, and I was a zookeeper, so I got it off my chest, so to say. But at the same time, the thing is, I think I was a zookeeper in 2001, so I was 21. While I was studying advertising, and I don't know how it is in other countries, but in Argentina it doesn't pay well. And I was studying advertising too, so I was kind of looking forward to my next stage in my career path or whatever. So I just did it because I felt the need. I had the opportunity, and I felt the need to do it just for myself. Back then, I was also volunteering with the Andean Condor Conservation Project. So I was already really aware of a lot of conservational issues and what I did what I did do during my zookeeping years was that every time my bosses weren't listening to me when I was giving talks to the public. I kind of put down the mic and talk to children about the problematics of zoos and how some captivities in animals are not okay. So I was talking about conservation, and maybe we have an injured animal, and I was like, okay, this animal has a reason why he has to be in captivity, but this other animal is in perfect shape, so he shouldn't be. So I try to, raise a little bit of awareness in the public, so they didn't, because so they didn't left the place with no information other than, oh, I just saw a giraffe, very pretty, in the middle of the city. That was kind of a dichotomy is the word, about being a zookeeper, because I love wildlife and I don't want to see it captive, but I was a zookeeper. So for me, it was a struggle. So the way to kind of balance that was to at least be truthful with my talks to the public about wildlife captivity.
Yeah, and it's definitely interesting that you brought that up, because that is probably one of the biggest, not the biggest, but one of the criticisms of zoos is in the captivity part. And I know a lot of zoos that are doing phenomenal work, and there's a lot of zoos that could be doing a lot better. And then, of course, when you go on an international scene, a lot of places don't have the same regulations that maybe some really strict areas do. So, yeah, it's, as a conservationist, sometimes it is really hard. I was in the zoo world a long time, and the good ones are really good and they have their place. But I also moved on from the zoo world as I felt I was making bigger impact in other ways. So, yeah, but I'm glad that you at least got the chance to explore that, and you did check that off your list of life goals to do.
Absolutely. Yeah. And on the other hand, what bothers me a lot with this zoo discussion that gets every time something happens in a zoo, everybody's like, painting signs and marching against these companies, because that is what they are at the end of the day. I don't like the extreme thought of no more zoos. I mean, as you said, there are zoos that do a lot for conservation. So I think at the end of the day, it's about helping zoos become even better at conservation projects and things like that. But it's not about being against it. I mean, I don't love captivity and captive animals, but I don't believe in being outside the entrance of the zoo yelling, no more zoos, because that changes nothing. Nothing. And I think this generation, I am sorry, I'm going to say it, they really like to yell at the entrance of whatever they don't like and be really against it. But at the end of the day, they change nothing, because you have to get in the mud and you have to get inside the real problem. So I'm not pro zoos, but I'm not against them either. I know they aren't going to disappear. So you know what? Let's work together and make better companies. Because that's what zoos are. They are companies. They need to make money, but they could, at the same time, be doing a lot for conservation for a lot of species. They have the means, the land, the professionals. So it's not about closing zoos. It's about helping them become better. So yeah, I said it.
Like I said it, it's on air, it's on record.
It's out there.
Actually, I love that you bring that up. Because I'm sure anyone listening will not be surprised that I'm talking to a lot of people all the time. A lot behind the scenes that I haven't had a chance to publish on air yet, but I'm luckily talking with some people where their big goal is to revolutionize the conservation impact of zoos for the better. Because as conservation changes and grows and adapts and is much more aware of what real impact is, a lot of the globe, essentially, of the conservation field realm is starting to really scrutinize zoos. And so luckily, though, a lot of them are willing to listen and they have great potential. And so I've been having some great conversations with some people that are now in leadership positions that are, at least in the United States, I don't know abroad, that have some pretty important roles in some zoos here with high influence in the United States. And so I'm really excited to when I can bring those people on and also see how they plan on changing and adapting what their zoos do. So that's very exciting. I love to see that as somebody who also quit my zoo career because I didn't feel like I was having enough good impact. And I was at the time at one of the world's most famous zoos. So
which one? Do you know what to say?
No, I can. Absolutely. It was at the Columbus Zoo. It's Columbus Zoo and Aquarium here in
Nice.
Ohio. So it would go back with that, and the San Diego Zoo is the biggest one in the United States. And it was a great zoo, great reputation. The animals are treated like royalty pretty much. But there was just, I mean, personally for me, and it sounds like it might have been similar for you, there was this disconnect with the public and the message that was trying to be like sent out, like, you know, because I was on the guest engagement side at the time. I did some like zookeeping internships at that zoo, and then I later actually got like a professional zookeeping career for a little bit. But since I was on the guest engagement side, I was talking to people, and you know, there would be like a cheetah demonstration or something, you know, this wonderful, beautiful cheetah and doing all these really cool things. And all the people would say, or like I would talk to a little girl and I would be like, mommy, I want a cheetah. And it didn't matter. Exactly. It didn't matter what the zookeeper was saying. It didn't matter any of these things. They just wanted whatever it was. Or, and so I just couldn't get over that disconnect. I couldn't get over. And also too, like, that little girl or little boy had every reason to say that because they see another person.
At the end of the day, with the cheetah doing exactly.
So that was my big thing. And so now, like, you know, what I do professionally now that I do conservation tourism stuff, I'm very against any sort of like changing animal behavior in any way or interfering with animals, whatever it might be. And so, because I feel like that's really powerful too, or showing wild animals in these landscapes, or when they are living with people, actually demonstrating how difficult it is to live with dangerous wildlife. So just showing the truth, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
totally.
I did not expect to go down that rant, but that's so something similar. So like, I really do not want to piss off the zoo world because there is so much good, like the species survival plan, the SSPs. There's so many species that literally would be extinct if it wasn't for captive breeding facilities that have brought these animals back. So like, I don't want to be all whatever, but there is a lot of room to grow.
Absolutely. I know, but exactly. But I agree with you 100%. The thing is that most of the people now, when they don't like something, they just stand against it. And
instead of offering solutions.
Exactly. I mean, again, they are counterproductive in so many ways for their own mission in life. They are counterproductive for their own interests. So I don't really understand those extremes. I'm a conservationist, but I am not extreme. I mean, we have this really large population of beavers in Argentina, in the south of Argentina. Beavers are not native from Argentina. You cannot, I mean, it's not even an endangered species, right? So you cannot just, because what these people are about is we should capture them and take them to their home. That's not realistic. And at the same time, these little beavers, which are getting like multiplied by the hour, are destroying an amazing environment in Patagonia. So what should you do? My position is kill them all, hunt them down, and control the population, and that's it. That's what they did with goats in Galapagos. I know goats are domestic animals, whatever, but I mean, at the same time, it's the same thing. Conservation is not about one subject, one animal, and you just, oh, what a beautiful beaver. I'm going to grab him and take him back to his natural habitat in Canada. Conservation is about environment, and it's about the bigger picture. So if you want to preserve, let's say, Patagonia, you need to get rid of the beavers. And that's how I stand. And many conservationists hate me because I say this, But I think it's about that. You cannot save every animal and treat them as if they were pets. They are not. So one thing is one thing. You want to be like this extreme conservationist and don't hurt a fly and mix it with cows and pigs and be a vegan and all of this. Okay, go ahead and do it, but don't interfere with real conservation, because we are trying to do what really matters and what is realistically possible to do. So unless we're treating with an endangered species, then I would suggest let's capture them all and bring them where they belong. If it's not an endangered species, you cannot go spending money that nobody has to do kind of like such a big project about capturing thousands and thousands of beavers to take them back to Canada and do what? So I don't know. It's a thin line. But I myself have it very clear. I mean, some people don't. I think in conservation, it's about the bigger picture. You cannot be like humanizing and personalizing everything into each individual, because it's not going to work. Again, I mean, we don't have the means or the money to do a lot of things that we would like to do, even less to spend it in animals that don't need to be saved, so to speak. And it sounds cruel, and I know it, and I would love to not have to say this about, I don't know, killing beavers or whatever. But at the same time, I mean, it's about being realistic and real conservation. And real conservation is not always pretty. So I don't know. That's my position about that. Right?
Yeah, no, I absolutely understand and agree with that. It's just the hard truth. It's the hard reality. And I've now, luckily, have had some incredible scientists on the show where that is what they do. And it's called eradication. Exactly. And it's to save the native wildlife that's there. And I have conversations with them. You know, we have like our sit down recorded version, and it is open, but I will say that sometimes people are a little bit more reserved during the interview, which I understand. And then I'll have these other conversations, you know, with them off air, and, you know, and they'll talk about what it's actually like to do this work, and they fucking hate it. Like, but they understand the big picture, you know, they understand the big picture. Exactly. Like, as somebody, I love cats, but cats are actually a huge problem on many. They're devastating so much wildlife. Yeah. And I wish I would. I saw on Instagram the other day that this organization, they posted, I think it might have been in Australia, they had the balls to do this, and I was very proud of them. I follow them. I gotta figure out what this video was. They showed them, they like posted a video of the way they humanely euthanize feral cats on their land to protect this very endangered bird and this whole area that's fenced off. And these cats are trying to get into this fenced area that is protecting this very endangered species. And they posted it. And I was so proud of them, because I'm like, this is real conservation. Oh, and they got berated in the comment section. But they stood their ground, and I'm like, good for you, because they were like, this is what it actually takes. Like, y'all want to understand what it actually takes to protect these incredible animals from the wildlife and what we've done to harm them. They were fine. And then we introduced these invasive species that are destroying them. So that's just... This field is very emotionally draining in a lot of ways. And sometimes we just have to accept how dark it can be to do the work.
Exactly. It's not always hugging panda bears. I mean, that's not conservation, you know. I mean, people really think that conservation is about, you know, being on a boat and watching whales and hugging panda bears and it's not about that. I mean, most of the time you see injured animals, or you have to euthanize a lot of animals, or you're dealing with real issues, you know. I don't know how to put it, but I mean, nowadays everybody is really opinionated, but their opinions are made from such an empty place, because it's just an opinion about it comes from nowhere. I mean, it's not even, how to say it politely, but I mean, I am ignorant about a lot of things, right? Okay, I don't know anything about quantum physics, or I don't know, music or cars. So these people, they love animals, but they are really ignorant about what real conservation is like. So, and they are a lot. There's a lot of them. So they kind of make themselves heard. And at the end of the day, their message, it's, as I always say, counterproductive for actual conservation. So it's really, really difficult.
Yeah, so let's actually talk about some of the solutions and what you've done. So you've taken something very dark and made it beautiful in your
Thank you.
wonderful gallery called Ex-Situ. So let's talk about that for a while. How did the idea of this gallery come to you? Where did it begin?
Ex-Situ is actually a project that was born. I would love to have like this amazing story about how it came to be, but it was born because of my love for studio photography and for wildlife. Okay, so somehow I wanted to do studio photography of wildlife, but as I told you, when I was a zookeeper, I'm not. I'm against captivity with no purpose. Okay, that's my main issue. I'm against wildlife captivity with no purpose. So I thought, okay, how can I photograph wildlife in a studio? I can do rescued wildlife, and what I can do is tell their stories. So it kind of started there, and the good thing about that is that as I told you, each of these animals in my photographs have a rescue story, represent a conservational issue, and they have a purpose. Their captivity has a purpose. Okay, because they cannot be released back into the wild, so they are part of a breeding program, or they are ambassadors for the rescue center that saved them. They have a lot of reasons why they need to be held captive. So that's what I like. That doesn't, at least to me, it doesn't contradicts my mission with Ex-Situ. So that's how it came to be, because I wanted to do wildlife in studio and show animals from a different perspective. What I do with Ex-Situ is I work with a plain backdrop, black backdrop, sometimes white, but pretty much the idea with that is to show in the photo when you look at it, you only see the animal, right? So it's the only source of light, color, and life. And as they are really isolated in this black backdrop, they are clearly ex-situ, which means out of environment. So the idea with Ex-Situ, once I started working and taking more and more photos, I realized that conservation has this, this communication problem, because for me at least, they keep talking to people that are already into that. You can see Discovery Channel, you can see Animal Planet, you can see Nat Geo, you can see a lot of these humongously big companies, and it's really hard for them, in my opinion, to reach a new target of people that aren't already into conservation or into wildlife. So what I am trying to do with Ex-Situ is reach art galleries, art fairs, art magazines, whatever, private collections, stuff like that, and get these photographs, each of them with the rescue story of that animal, into a different environment. The art environment is it's incredibly big. It's incredibly filled with a lot of powerful people, rich people, and I think it could make a difference once you are inside that little environment. It's not easy to get into that, but you're at least I'm trying to reach a new target of people, because if we keep talking to ourselves about conservation, we are going to reach nowhere. We're not going to get nowhere. I mean, it's just, okay, I think we should take care of the rainforest. Okay, yes, that's it. That's what conservation is doing right now. They are talking to themselves. So I think we need to find ways to bring the subject into a lot of more tables, so to speak, And what I'm trying to do, as what I do is photography, is, okay, how can I add value to what I do and to conservation from a different perspective, reaching a new target of people? Because, and this is my equation. Let me see if I can make it clear. You have two kinds of people outside of conservation. You have two kinds of people that don't care and people that don't know. The people that don't care are kind of lost. But the people that don't know, you can inform them, and then they divide again. You can divide them again into they can be informed and not care, or be informed and care. So when I'm aiming at that little target of people, to inform them and to reach them from an absolutely new perspective, and giving them the chance to be informed and see what road they decide to take. Because at the end of the day, when we all die, we will leave something behind. We will leave a legacy behind, and it will end up showing if we took care of our environment or not. Each of us individually. So I'm trying to, through what I do, at least give people the opportunity to care, or know at least, and be conscious of the fact that they knew what was happening and just looked the other way.
And when did you have this idea? When did you launch this?
I started working with Ex-Situ already 10 years ago.
Wow.
So it's a long time. 10 years ago, I did the first photograph of a rescued pelican who got blinded in one eye because of a fishing line. And when I saw my first photographs of studio portraits of animals, and I was like, okay, this is really nice. I mean, this doesn't look like the typical wildlife picture of encyclopedia photo of an animal. This kind of, I managed to get a very different feeling to them. So then I started, okay, I need to use this to get to a new target of people. So that's how it started. I mean, I just saw the aesthetic that my work had, and I'm kind of baroque and tenebrist. I like these harsh shadows in my work. So it really, like, the work itself took me to what I'm trying to do now. I mean, I was aiming to be in conservation and magazine, and then it came to me that that wasn't the path that I needed to take. And then that's when I started, aiming at art galleries, fairs, and stuff like that. And it's been working pretty great so far. I mean, I have really a large spectrum of large media covering what I do, like newspapers, magazine, TV channels, and stuff like that. So it's kind of, the snowball is growing. So it takes a lot of time and hard work, but it's happening. So and this is, for me, this is a life project. It's not going to have an end. So I have all the time in the world, hopefully. I don't have a rush.
How did that realization come to you that you needed to connect with a different demographic instead of speaking to shouting into a room full of people that are all there for the same reason? Mm-hmm. How did you make the realization that you needed to look elsewhere for people to expose your gallery to?
I was a big consumer of these large networks of wildlife and nature, like BBC, NBC, Nat Geo, Animal Planet, and stuff like that. I love what they do. I'm not against them, but I had this feeling that, I don't know, I never once any of my non-conservation friends got to sit with me to watch a documentary or anything, because they were not interested, and no specific channel was kind to even try to reach them. So it was like there. It's like yelling to the wall at the end of the day, because you are doing all these great things, but you are not really changing much. Again, I'm not saying these big NGOs are doing anything. They're doing a lot, of course. But at the end of the day, in my opinion, we need to reach the everyday average Joe to actually make a difference, a big difference. You know, it's like I told you, my first photo of Ex-Situ was a pelican that got blinded because of a fishing line. And that is not a save the pandas problem or save the Amazons issue. It's okay. Let's get this fisherman or any fisherman aware of this specific problem that they caused to this pelican. Okay, so it's about talking about the little things too. It's not always there's and I know that the big problems exist and are there, and we need to take, to do something about it too. But at the end of the day, any regular person doesn't know what to do about those big problems. They don't know what to do to save the pandas. They don't know what to do to save the rainforest. They don't know what to do to save the whales. They are too large of a request, so to speak, to actually reach the everyday walking in the street person. So what I'm trying to do is to tell these like minimal stories about conservation, because then everybody can relate, because I'm talking about a lot of different issues, smaller ones, bigger ones, but anybody can relate to some of them. So yeah, and that's what I love about Ex-Situ. I mean, it reaches everybody. People that have animals as pets, from illegal trading, illegal hunting, poaching, I don't know. I got blank. But that's what I love about Ex-Situ. It reaches a really wide variety of people, and I think it's what we need to do as conservationists. Not just talk about the big problems, but to tone it down a little bit, and just put out there kind of not such larger than life problems and quests, because most of us don't really know how to react to that. And they all seem like, okay, the whales are out there and I don't know what's happening, and I don't relate to the middle of the ocean problems because I live in the mountain. I don't know. We need to start thinking smaller to make bigger changes, in my opinion.
Yeah. What's relatable? What can we all do? What's one small thing that we can all do that can really help? I completely agree with that. I think that's also another reason why, like with this, like the climate change movement and stuff. And I know so many people that are against it. And then I love being where I am because I'm right in the smack dab middle of both political parties. Like I have some of the closest people to me that are like far right Republicans, and then I have some people that are closest to me that are like far left Democrats. And I love being right smack dab in the middle because I get to hear both sides of things. It helps keep you grounded and perspective on types of stuff. And I think that's one of the big issues right now with the climate change movement is that it's just so big that it feels that nothing anybody can do will actually help. When you try to distill it down to one person, like, how can I help this issue when I can't change the way airlines fly their jets? Like things like that. I can't change the way, our shipping is done across the ocean from China to the US. Like, so that's why I really like your approach and distilling conservation down into actionable things, just like that, maybe if you do want a pet, just get a cat that you keep indoors, or a little fluffy dog that is always on a leash. Like, you have the love that you want, but it's not an endangered species or a trafficked a trafficked monkey baby, you know, from a forest or something
Exactly.
like that beforehand that you wanted. I mean, I grew up that way. Like I watched all of these things. I wanted a monkey. I wanted
I
a
know.
cat. Oh my
I
God. I
wanted
would go to
everything. I wanted
anything for a
everything, of
cub.
course.
You know what I
Of
mean? So
course.
I
But I
understand
mean,
the desire.
exactly. But you touch over a few subjects that I want to get into it. One, let's just get this let's get this over with, because when in the US you have a lot of legal exotic pets that you can have, and that is one of the problems with these big channels that promote the pet industry, because in most of the countries having a parrot is illegal.
Right.
It's absolutely illegal because it comes from poaching, from illegal trading. They are just, harvesting the nest of a lot of parrots in the jungle and stuff like that. But, you're trying to generate a lot of awareness about that problem, and then you have Animal Planet showing you a cockatoo that knows how to roller skate. It's impossible to fight against that because at the end of the day, they are promoting that. So it's really hard. The other thing that you said, oh man, politics. There are two things that I hate right now. One is that we have to still be talking about left and right. It's like vintage, man. Come on. Really? Are we still thinking that way? It's ridiculous. I'm not left, right, anything. I'm about whatever issue I'm dealing with. It might have a solution that goes more to one way or the other, but I
Same.
couldn't care any less about what a politician have to say if he's talking from a dogmatic point of view. And the same thing happens because right now conservation is kind of being invaded, so to speak, with a lot of left. How do you call it in English? Like leftists? Is that?
Yeah, that's the term.
I don't know if that's kind of insulting or not. To call them leftists.
I mean, yeah, but keep going. You know what you mean.
I don't mean it. My English is limited, so I don't mean it as an insult. But I think conservation is really being like taking advantage from the left wings people. And at the end of the day, come on. If we have to talk in those terms, left and right, okay, what the left people are doing with their extreme positions about a lot of issues, they are getting half of the population of the world out because they are going to differ in so many other things with them because they are from the left, that they are not even going to listen to them about what really matters and something that should matter us all, regardless of if you're from the left, from the right, from the middle, from space, whatever. I mean, it's ridiculous what they are doing, and they are really, and this is what I hate about them, and I really hate it because I think it's a big problem. They are really extreme with the way they manifest their positions. You cannot be going to the Fontana di Trevi and throw paint into the water of the fountain in Rome, or throwing paint into a painting. It's like, what are you doing? How is that helping your purpose? You're just getting people mad at you because you're being really stupid. Okay, you're getting a lot of coverage, but you're getting coverage because you're being stupid, not because what you have to say. So at the end of the day, these guys are really counterproductive. And it's like I will talk just about me because I don't want to get anybody involved in this, but at the end of the day, me as a true conservationist that doesn't care about left or right problems, it's like I have to fight another enemy, so to speak. They are adding one more problem to the equation of conservation, because they are really that counterproductive to a lot of things. And don't even get me started about vegans.
No, yeah, I absolutely, I understand your sentiment, and again, that's why I feel so grateful to be where I am, where I see both sides, and I see the way the other one feels when the other one attacks them. And that's what it just hurts my soul sometimes. I'm like, if we are to come together in any way, shape, or form, or when one side blames the other for something going wrong or the state of something today, and it's just like, well, look at how you're making the other side feel. And that goes both ways. It's like, if we are to come together as a people, if we want to protect our planet, then we need to put our hand out to the other side and be like, what do you need? How can I help you? How can I understand what your problems are so that we understand, like there's so many, as I'm very entrenched in the predator world, I'm predators are my loves of my life. I love them tremendously. And then there's so much backlash right now on, ranchers and farmers where their livelihood is with livestock, and then having a wolf pack or pumas or, something on their land is technically a direct issue or impact on their livelihood. And they actually care about their livestock. And so how can we as conservationists be the bridge between the issue, and how can we support these people and on both sides? Like this is an everybody problem.
Exactly.
This isn't a left or right. This is everyone.
Exactly. But it's always an everybody problem. The thing is that the left-wing people and the right-wing people are so stupid that they cannot see that they need to work together. It's really simple if you think about it for 10 seconds. But again, what you say about this person that has livestock and God, one thing that could happen is the government could help ranchers to build or better fences, or a puma ate 10, because sometimes that happens. A puma with cubs can eat or kill, not even eat, kill, let's say, 10 sheep in one night just because he's teaching the cubs how to hunt. I've seen that happen. Okay, the government could step in and say, okay, how much that was, how much they lost, here you go. That way, you don't get the farmer to hate pumas and kill every puma he has on site. That way, you have the government doing actually one good thing for conservation, because the government is doing nothing, or they just do whatever gives them, kind of visibility, but not. I don't believe in politicians that way. There are very, very few politicians that actually care about actual conservation. But there are so many things that could be done, and it is an everybody problem. So, but again, if we keep talking about left and right, whatever the left has to say, because it's so dogmatic, the right is going to oppose it. And whatever the right has to say, because it's so dogmatic too, the left is going to oppose it. So they're so stupid. I know I don't have another word to say, because it's stupidity in its finest. Stupidity in its finest. I mean, this matters to us all as humans. Right now, I am sorry I'm bringing him up. We have Elon Musk trying to go to Mars to live there eventually someday. We cannot take care of a planet that works, and we want to make a dead planet work for us. I mean, we cannot take care of our oceans, our jungles, our environment, and we think, and we are spending billions of dollars on a dead planet that we might eventually have to move to because we destroyed this one. It makes no sense to me. I mean, okay, Elon Musk, you want to go to Mars? Go. You can do whatever you want with your money. I'm fine with it. But the idea behind it is we will have to leave this planet eventually, because it's going to end up being destroyed by us. So what are we doing? We're trying to go somewhere else that it's already dead, because we couldn't take care of this planet, but because we killed it. It's so weird, and I don't know. I think that our priorities are so messed up right now with all this technology. The technology is really growing and changing so rapidly, but none of it, or very little of it, is actually going to conservation. And one of the problems, and I'm glad I just remembered this, is that conservation is not well seen. I mean, we were talking about zoos, right? And a lot of people complain, oh, but they are making money with the animals. And let's say you have a rescue center and not a zoo. You have a rescue center, right? And you have to, charge for the ticket or for the food in there so you can survive. What is wrong with conservationists making a living from conservation? I don't know what that is so frowned upon. But it's like that. It's like if you want to be a conservationist, you have to be poor and live out of, donations. Why? Why can't we make a lot of money out of conservation so everybody wants to be a conservationist? Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah. Yeah. I personally, I deal with that as well. Like that personal struggle of, the balance of doing this out of heart versus like, I actually need to make ends meet too. And exactly. I think you brought up something really, like, as you were talking about the Elon Musk thing, I think that this actually goes full circle. So, how you were talking about your main demographic actually isn't in the conservation realm because you're trying to reach a demographic, like some other people that might have influence. Well, just imagine if one person that was like on the level, like an Elon Musk, like a multi-millionaire, even a billionaire, they got moved in some way, shape, or form. Like your work or somebody's work or one of our work that we are entrenched in this and we know and we have the right message and the right knowledge on how to make conservation impactful. Now imagine if the right person connected with whoever that conservationist was. Imagine what could happen.
Exactly.
Imagine what could happen. And that was because that person had the courage to get out of their comfortable bubble to go talk to somebody else. And who knows how many connections that person would have to go through to get to that 1 billionaire, to get to that 1 million multi-millionaire, that CEO that has a big heart, that, or very innovative mind. We're like, oh, all you got to do is X, Y, or Z, and this whole problem will be fixed. And you're like, holy shit, I didn't know that because I'm not trained in something. I don't know.
I mean, no, I know what you mean. But for example, we have two. I read about this teenager guy that created I don't know if it's a machine or a system to clean the ocean, right? Clean the plastic of the ocean, right?
Yep.
It's a teenager guy in his garage trying to do something that matters to us all. Why isn't somebody in the caliber of Elon Musk or whoever interested in doing something like that? You can go to Mars too. I mean, it's not going to move your bank account needle. You could invest in something like that. We don't have these big fishes in the world economy interested in this. I don't know why. It baffles me. But again, I mean, I think we need to make conservation profitable because we need more people to want to be a part of it. But as long as we have to be all poor and live off donations in huts, it's not going to happen. Who would like to go to the middle of the jungle being eaten alive by mosquitoes all his life to save the, cappuccino monkey? Very few people would like to do that. Because they cannot have, they cannot charge a lot, they cannot make money out of it, whatever. We need to make conservation profitable and stop being this, only humanitarian thing, I mean, it could be an enterprise. Why not? I don't think it's wrong. I don't think it would be wrong to make it a good enterprise. As long as you do what you have to do, what is the problem? We need to change that. So I hope,
and that's why
it does eventually.
Yeah. And so, that's why I work in conservation tourism, because to me, that is a solution. It is essentially monetizing nature It's just monetizing nature.
Yeah.
And that is a solution. I mean, it's just always unfortunate, when we have things like a global pandemic. It is a very volatile field, which just shows how much we've actually value our natural spaces. But all things considered, it is an amazing opportunity if you build the right experience. People will pay a lot of money.
Exactly.
I've seen it. I've watched it. I've built it. I'm continuing to build it and support. Well, at the same time, since I am first and foremost a conservation biologist, like also these people that want to have this amazing time in nature, it's like, let me also show you these incredible people that are doing the hard work to keep this place here beautiful and grand so that you can come visit it. And then that I feel is when we can make some big change. We have that overlap.
It comes down to this. You make, how do you call it? Nature tourism? Sorry.
Yeah. I had conservation tourism specifically. Ecotourism.
Okay. Ecotourism. Okay. It comes down to this. You make ecotourism. The more profitable that is, the more land it will need to preserve. So it's so simple if you think about it. I mean, we have a lot of ecologists. I'm in Costa Rica right now. We have a lot of ecologists doing ecotourism and stuff like that. And the good thing that works is that they are kind of obligated because of their business to take care of the land and the animals. Because if you are going to be promoting ecotourism, and I go there and I don't see one bug or one monkey or one whatever, I'm not going to be going back anymore. So the good thing about ecotourism is you make money, the environment gets taken care of or protected, and hey, it's a win-win situation if you think about it. So I really don't get why it's so hard to society right now, 2023, to understand that conservation really needs a change of paradigm.
No, you're right. Paradigm, like a paradigm shift.
Paradigm. It needs a shift in paradigm. So to make it valuable, conservation, it is valuable, but we need to make it valuable. Because that is right now, sadly, is how the world moves. And it's the only way I see today to make people more interested in being a part of it. Let them make money out of it. If they do things right, we get away with our ideas and they get away with theirs, making money. It's a win-win situation. And then we can think about going to Mars or whatever.
So then how did you crack into the high-end art world? So one of my big goals with this show, and I hope that one day I'm grinding is to actually start offering some cool trips to go see the amazing guests that I've met around the world and bring people with me to go to essentially just do what I just said. It's like, let's bring money to the places that need it, have an unbelievable experience, and then also help support me too and keep this show running.
Exactly.
So it's all one circle that funnels into each other. So that is my idea on how to do this. So how did you though get into the high-end art world? 'Cause I wouldn't even know where to begin. How do you do that?
It wasn't easy, but as I told you, I do a lot of horse photography too, high-end horses, polo, jumping, dressage, and stuff like that. So through my horse work, that gets into cover of magazines and art galleries. When I talk to an art gallery, I am okay. I have this, and this, and I have this, and that this is an Ex-Situ piece. Okay, so I give them a horse, a portrait, and a jaguar. So I get in, as I told you recently, right? As I just told you, I get away with mine, and they get away with theirs because they want my work about horses and about whatever else I'm shooting. But my condition is okay, but I have to have this one too because I want to see if it reaches enough people or not. And that's how I got in. I mean, I've been in Art Basel. I exhibited for the Queen of England during the the Cartier polo cap. I have works in Palm Beach, in Worth Avenue, and stuff like that. So it works. It's not easy. It took me, as I told you, I mean, I've been doing this for 10 years, and some of these things happened 7 years later from day one. So it has not been easy. It's not easy because the art world kind of diminishes photography a little bit, but when you get into the right galleries, it happens, and it's great. It takes time. It took me a lot of time to actually get into that, but it's doable. I'm proof.
Yes. With persistence, you are definitely proof. So how do you get the subjects then for your gallery? Is it you have an idea? I guess what comes first, like connecting with a wildlife rescue and you're like, hey, what's a great story that we could possibly photograph? Or is it the other way around where you are like, wow, I would love a new photo of, a parrot or like a rescue parrot, and they find a wildlife rescue that way? Or how do you find the subjects that then become part of your gallery?
This is a great question because, as I told you, Ex-Situ is not about the only larger than life stories. I do have some, species that I really want to photograph, but I don't go behind that. I just contact a rescue center, and whatever they have, every story matters. Be it a pigeon, a seagull, a pelican, a jaguar, a puma, whatever they have, their story matters because I want to have as much variety of conservation issues as I can. The bigger ones and the really small ones. So tomorrow I have to go to a rescue center here in Costa Rica,
yeah.
And I have no idea what I'm gonna get into. I mean, I don't know if I gotta photograph monkeys, parrots, pumas, jaguars, or maybe a little bit of everything. I don't know. I just take my studio down there, and whatever they have, I want to photograph it because I want to tell that specific story. And for me, each story is equally important.
And so then how does one of these photo shoots work? Is it significantly different photographing, say, a jaguar versus like a sloth?
Yeah,
those are different.
It is.
How do you approach these, I guess?
You just came with the most opposite species in the entire ecosystem. I mean, is it different to photograph a fish or a butterfly? Yes, it is. Yeah, I mean, jaguars, the jaguars that I do, and I think I'm the only one that actually have a jumping jaguar in midair. It was a photo shoot that I kind of visualized for 6 years until I got it done with these guys, the Jaguars Into the Wild Rescue Center. But it took 6 years to get it done, and that was a challenge because we have to work in the, not inside the environment. How do you say? I'm sorry, it's not a cage.
Like enclosure?
Like a?
Like an enclosure?
Enclosure, that's the word. It was a challenge because we had to work in the enclosure. I couldn't bring the jaguar to a table and, hey, give me a thumbs up. So it took a lot of time, as I told you, 6 years, but we got it done. It was just one photo shoot, one chance to have it done. And I got it. I got a few photographs of a jumping jaguar in midair with studio lighting, and I'm delighted. Imagine, I think there's no other photo like that in the world. But yeah, jaguars are very different, of course, from sloths or whatever, because they are predators and you cannot just be there with them and maybe move them a little bit or whatever, unless they are puppies or cubs, right? Not puppies. Cubs.
Yeah, cubs.
which I did with puma cubs. And they were 3 little orphan brothers that were little orphan siblings that were just the cutest little things. And I got to photograph them right before they got into a human isolation enclosure because they were going to be rehabilitated and re-released back into the wild once they grew up. But this window of a week when they arrived to the rescue center and they went into the human isolation process, I got to be there and photograph them. And yeah, of course, I could interact with them because they were like really tiny. But that is, it's the exception. Most of the time, you don't interact with most of them. And yeah, with sloths or birds that can fly or little mammals, small mammals or stuff like that, you can maybe handle them a little bit better because most of these animals cannot be released back into the wild. So they have been tamed so they don't get too stressed during their life in captivity. But again, their captivity, it is justified and it has a purpose because they are part of breeding programs and they are ambassadors. They visit schools. They use them for educational talks and stuff like that. So even though they will not be released back into the wild, they still have a very big, important conservation purpose, even being held in captivity. And yeah, of course, with those animals, you can interact because they are totally tamed. But again, they are not pets. I mean, I got bitten so many times. I got even attacked by a pelican. Who would have thought? A pelican that you see them, all clumsy walking like this, and I got attacked by a pelican because these animals, although they can be tamed and stuff like that, you really need to understand that they can be tamed to a point. But there will never be a dog, there will never be a cat, there will never be a bunny, even less a goldfish. So yeah, I wanted to make that clarification because some people say, "Oh, you see, you treat them like pets and stuff like that." I don't. They're just a little tame because they will live in captivity for their whole life. So in order for them to have a better, less stressful life in captivity, they get to be tamed a little bit. But again, these are not pets whatsoever.
And didn't you say that the photo shoots are pretty short too? It's not like these are hour-long like glamour shots or something.
I wish, because I could be all day shooting wildlife in studio, but I think it doesn't take me more than the longest could be 7 minutes. Except from when I'm working in the animal's enclosure, where he can move around and he's feeling at home and he's, when you're not bothering the animal, you can be photographing him or her or it for hours, but you're not bothering him. But when you take them to the studio, it doesn't take me more than 5 minutes per animal in order to don't stress them a lot. They usually are really, and I have behind the scenes video to prove this, they don't really care at all. I mean, I've done parrots and monkeys and they go like, every time I fire a flash, because they are really light, low powered flashes, the flash is very, very dim. And it's like, it's not too powerful, so it doesn't bother them at all, and they don't care. I mean, they go like, because most people might think, and they ask me a lot of this is a question that I get a lot. It's like, oh my God, but don't the lights bother them? And I have to explain, and sometimes I show the videos of how they don't really care at all about the flashes. So, but it takes me 5 minutes tops.
And I think this is a good time to maybe share how I got introduced to your work. So Adriana, who's been on the show, she, runs rescue in Costa Rica. And so, and I wear the shirt all the time, like high four, like a spider monkey all the time. And Proyecto Assets, like I wear this stuff all the time. That's how actually we got connected. And ever since I met her in Costa Rica, she's been telling me about your work. She's like, you need to meet Ramón. You need to meet Ramón. You need to talk about Ex-Situ. You need to talk about his gallery. And so clearly you all have been connected for, who, like what animals did you photograph there out of curiosity? Do you remember which ones?
I photographed several species of toucans. I photographed several species of parrots. And I'm thinking that kinkajou, I don't know if you know what a kinkajou is.
Yeah. There was a
Yeah,
kinkajou
they
that
are
I
amazing,
visited.
amazing. I love that species. But they are really hard because they really don't stop moving. So, but yeah, I photograph a bunch of species that are amazing, especially toucans because they are so representative and people love them. So it's like a species that you can kind of use for your purpose because who doesn't love a toucan?
Right.
Who doesn't like a toucan? So when you go with a toucan photo to an art exhibit or an art gallery, it's like, oh, really nice. But when I go with a skunk, they're like, what? Get out of here! And I love my skunk. I have a picture of the butt of a skunk that I love, and I cannot get it into an art gallery. I don't know why. They don't see it. They are missing out. Yeah.
So you've mentioned multiple different individuals that you met, but are there any particular stories of individuals that really moved you when you photographed them?
Yeah, most of them, and this is a thing that kind of gets over, kind of, it's not really taken into account by most people. Is that what I do is great and it's horrible at the same time because I love wildlife and what I do takes me to places where I keep seeing all these issues and this injured wildlife. So it's like I love what I do, but it kind of hurts me too. So it's weird. But yeah, I have a few stories. I have the Homer Simpson of Andean condors because it's an individual that hit an electric power tower, fell down onto a cliff, rolled all the way down to a highway, and got hit by a truck.
Jesus.
So if that is not the Homer Simpson of Andean condors, I don't know what it is. I say it like this because luckily it was rescued and rehabilitated by the Andean Condor Conservation Project in Argentina, and he was released back into the wild. And I that's one thing that I love about this guy is that I have a studio portrait of a condor that is right now flying in the Andes. So for me, that is like priceless. It's not just any condor in captivity or whatever. It's an actual wild condor that is. He got injured, he got better, he got taken care of, and right now he's flying, I don't know, everywhere through the Andes. So for me, that is amazing. The other story is, as I told you, the jaguar that I photographed, I think 6 to 7 years ago, was a jaguar that was being kept in a really small cage, like a circus cage, because the owner was a circus animal salesman, so to say. So he was rescued, but he lived in that cage for 5 years, and in that cage he ate, he slept, and he defecated too. And he was kept there for 5 years. And he was in terrible conditions when he was rescued, but the amazing job that these Jaguars Into the Wild Rescue Center did with him, they really brought him back to life, and he's not tamed. If you go see it, he will eat you in 1 second. He have been doing a lot of enrichment activities, so he hunts, he climbs, he jumps into the water, he does a lot of things that you cannot believe the amazing health he gained or regained after being rescued. And his name is Autano, and it's really amazing, really amazing what these guys did to him to save him. Because and weird enough, I mean, from a circus salesman, I mean, really, do circuses still have animal numbers? It's weird, right? At 2023, that is still happening. It's kind of, my God, how is not even that has changed, or not totally changed? Because I know that a lot of circuses don't do that anymore, but
right,
clearly we need to keep pushing so to stop that. But because that, yes, that it is a no, at town at 100%, no, you cannot do this thing. in my book at least.
Yeah, yeah. Those are, I'll talk about, just beautiful ends to stories. It's like, on one hand, these are so sad, crazy things these humans did to them, but then look now that the beautiful life that they have. Like, I visited Adriana in person, like that time. Their facilities were fantastic, and they really are doing everything they can for the betterment of these animals, and just the fact that they're even there, it just,
Yeah.
I mean, if all of us had our way, none of us would be doing this. Is what I'm saying. Best case scenario is your only option would be to go shoot them in the wild, like with your, not shoot them, photograph them in the wild. That would be the actual goal. But
Absolutely.
since you have these stories that you're able to tell with your just amazing artistic abilities that you have. Like,
Thank you.
I can't wait to share all of your photos. Like, everybody, well, if you follow Rewildology, you'll see the social media. And of course, you've already sent me so much amazing, stunning work. I was like, yes, you sent me so many things. And I'm just like scrolling through every single one. Like, this is unbelievable. They're so beautiful. And as someone who considers myself very much an amateur photographer, I'm nothing near close to a professional in any way, but I have enough of an eye to know, like, wow, this is beautiful. Like, I don't even know how you did it. I don't know how you did it. I still don't know how you did it.
Thank you. You're too kind. Too kind.
So let's talk about the future. What's next? So it sounds like you're still photographing. I guess if you do have quote unquote goals for Ex-Situ, what are you hoping to achieve with this?
As I told you, in the future, I mean, as I told you, this is a lifelong project for me. So I don't think it's ever going to end. But as I will say this again, I mean, I just want to reach as many people as I can in order to have them informed about a lot of conservational issues and see what side they decide to take. That's pretty much it. Now, regarding Ex-Situ itself, it's going to be, right now I'm finishing the Americas book, but what I'm aiming to have is one book per continent. So I have to have an Asia's book, a Europe Ex-Situ, Africa Ex-Situ, Oceania Ex-Situ, and so on. So that's pretty much what I'm aiming to with this project. Also having traveling art exhibitions along the continent in the big cities and stuff like that. So pretty much that is right now in my head. What it's right now in my head. But as technology grows more and more, I really don't know what will be of Ex-Situ in the future. But I know it will still be going because it's going to end for me. But I don't know in what medium or how it's going to be projected or get to the world. But yeah, right now it's about the book series and the traveling art exhibitions.
Any chance you'll be up in North America anytime soon?
I hope to be there soon because I have a few rescue centers that have green-lighted me to go. One is to photograph wolves, and the other one is to photograph birds of prey. So hopefully I'm going to be there this year before December. So we'll see.
Well, keep me posted on that.
Yeah.
If you're anywhere in driving distance, or if I happen to be somewhere close, I don't know.
Absolutely, I'll let you know.
I'm in random places a lot. So, I mean, I'm going to be in Brazil in like 2 weeks. So I'm in random places a lot. So
nice. Nice.
Finally going to go see a wild jaguar is my hope.
Good. Are you going to Pantanal?
I am. I'm leading a trip to Pantanal. You're going to love
that. You are going to love that. Yeah.
Yes. Yep. So going to go see jaguars and, of course, hopefully some beautiful giant otter families, anteaters. And then also we are connected with this fantastic ocelot research project. So we'll also be going out with the leader of that project, Enrique, and hopefully tracking some ocelots and maybe seeing what type of research that he needs to be done that we can assist him with.
That sounds amazing.
This is like, I know. My boss, Bill, set the whole trip up. And so we have the exact same ethos when it comes to conservation travel. So
Good.
I am so honored that this year I get to lead this trip. And then next year we're actually doing multiple itineraries and I will be leading one as well. So
nice. Congrats.
yeah, I will be getting down for at least the next couple years for sure. I will be in the Pantanal, which is a dream come true as a conservation biologist obsessed with cats. So.
Yeah. Good. Nice.
Yeah, absolutely. So I always love to ask this question. And since you have such a wide range of experience, and I'm sure you've been through a lot, what advice would you like to give to those listening right now?
I think the best advice that I can give anybody is, on one hand, is if you're doing conservation work or if you like nature, just keep doing what you do. Because if you're doing it honestly, just keep at it. It's even if it doesn't look like it, it's making a difference, and it's getting to people. And sometimes we feel like we don't get noticed enough. And trust me, whatever footprint we are leaving behind, somebody will see it eventually. So just keep at it and be happy that you're doing it. And on that same note, as we were talking about this left and right and extremes minutes ago, don't fall into that trap. Don't fall into the trap of the extremes. Don't take a side. Just do it for conservation and get as much people as you can involved in whatever you're doing. Don't fall into the trap of taking sides, because if you take sides, there's another side right in front of you that is being pushed away of your own goals and projects. So just do what you do and get as much people as you can involved. That's what I would say.
Yeah, that's great advice. And so, Ramon, I could seriously just talk to you all day. And I hope that one day that we sit down with a glass of wine or a bourbon or a beer, whatever liquid, coffee, I don't care. Hopefully one day we have the ability, especially Costa Rica coffee, because I drank so much Costa Rican coffee when I was there. I almost didn't sleep because it was so freaking good. And I love coffee. I'm like a coffee snob now. But anyways, that was a total tangent. How can somebody get a hold of you and find your work, maybe purchase a piece or connect with you or see everything that you're up to? What's the best way someone to go about that?
I have made two main platforms. One is my website, which is ramoncasares.net. That's net in NET. And the other one is Instagram. Right now, I'm very active through Instagram, which is casares.gallery. And there you can see a lot of behind-the-scenes videos, my photo shoot, my latest projects and stuff like that. So yeah, I would just direct them to those two platforms. My website to contact me directly, and Instagram too. I manage it myself. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Ramon, so much for sitting down with me today, sharing your amazing story. And please keep us all up to date as your journey evolves, because I know that you're going to have some more crazy stories, I'm sure. Hopefully one day, like I said, we'll sit down together and maybe even you could show me some things with your magical camera skills.
Totally.
Take mine up a notch, please.
I appreciate the invite. I have a great time. It's like talking to myself, so I really have a good time because I love talking to myself. But I appreciate it. I really appreciate it. I had a great time, and I hope everybody at least gets something out of what I have to say. And that's pretty much it. I had a great time, so I appreciate the invitation.
Such a thought-provoking conversation, right? If you have any questions or thoughts you'd like to pose to the Rewildology community, please post your questions in the Rewildologist Facebook group or in the comments section of this episode's YouTube video. I read every comment posted across all of the show's platforms, and I will gladly interact with you. As always, I want to thank you for being a part of the Rewildology community. To support the show, please consider making a monetary donation at the website to help me keep this show ad-free and on the airwaves. You can also purchase a piece of swag to show off your Rewildology love. Some zero-cost ways to support this show include subscribing to the newsletter where I share information about the latest episode, opportunities across the field that I find, headlines worth reading, and updates from past guests. Also, follow the show on your favorite social media app, subscribe on your favorite podcast app, and leave a rating and review to boost the algorithm and let others learn from these amazing guests. Lastly, I want to thank Focusrite for powering the podcast sound. To see the Focusrite gear I used to record the show, head on over to rewildology.com and check out nature podcasting under the resources tab. Until next time, friends, together we will rewild the planet. Hey, thanks again for listening to this episode of Rewildology. If you like what you heard, hit that subscribe button to never miss a future episode. Do you have a cool environmental organization, travel, story, or research that you'd like to share? Let me know at rewildology.com. Until next time, friends, together we will rewild the planet.